Hey, everybody. Welcome to Muni Misfits in the Morning. We are back in action, guys. It's been a while.
It's great to have the whole gang together again.
So nice that I'm included on this one. Nice to be back.
It's so nice to have you back.
I'm
Thank you.
sure.
Yeah. You look very tan today.
Thank you. Thank you. Spray tan. Spray tan.
So we just look red from frostbite and lots of snow. And,
yeah.
We haven't been together for about 8 weeks, and it looks identical outside as when we last met.
I know it's not going anywhere. And my snowblower broke.
That's a bad deal.
That means winter is officially over.
Manuel right now.
That means we're getting a lot more snow is what it means.
So today, guys, we have to talk about some really cool stuff that's happening with Fargo Parks and the Discover Tour. We've kind of pumped that out there on social. And then we get to talk to our famous first guest of the season, Amy Olson. So we'll go into that interview after we get done talking about Discover Tour. So let's talk about what we got brewing for the junior golf tournament series at Fargo Parks. Who wants to take the lead on that?
Yeah, no, this is great. It's very exciting to have this new programming as far as for the Fargo Parks. It's called the Discover Junior Golf Tour. And what it basically is it's a very awesome opportunity for kids anywhere from 7 all the way up through their senior year of high school to have an opportunity to get out and play and compete as far as with, kids of their similar age. It's going to be a very professionally run event. We're really excited about this. We've got 4 different levels to it. The cool thing about this is we're starting this out for kids of very young age. I mean, we've got a 9U program for those 7 to 9-year-old. That's not something we see too often around here. It's a great entry-level program for them to kind of get a little bit of exposure and get some confidence and have a lot of fun playing in this. We do have a 9U program, a 12U program, an 18U program, and we also have a Players Tour component to it, which we're really excited about as well, because that's kind of giving those kids as far as that high school age kid that maybe is competing as far as in their junior varsity or varsity program to have a really quality 36-hole event competition. And, if they are like aspiring to even go on and play collegiate golf, this is a great opportunity for them because one, I think that's what we've heard is college coaches are looking for is, what are you doing as far as on a multi-day event? And so that, and then also Tom Portnam, who works with Greg up at Edgewood Golf Course, as being able to talk with Junior Golf Scoreboard, and they will be ranking these events as well. So you will be able to receive ranking points for that, which is important as well.
And that's got to be new for our area. We haven't really had anything in this area that would be receiving points. Am I correct on that, guys?
I believe you're correct. Yes, I think Minneapolis, and I don't know if the AJGA plays anywhere else. But again, we're trying to give more opportunities, A, for the younger kids, and also B, for players that are in high school that maybe don't want to go to St. Louis or Wisconsin or Chicago or LA to play in an event that maybe they can at least get their name up on the radar.
And as far as the age groups are concerned, we've got, like you said, I mean, we start them as young as 7 and they go all the way up to that senior year in high school. So there's ample opportunity for all sorts of divisions. I think we were very smart in the fact that how the events were tiered based upon the difficulty of golf course as well. So like those 7 to 9-year-olds, we're not going to be sending them straight out to Edgewood. They're going to be playing mainly from El Zagel. And then as they start graduating up, they're going to be playing Prairie Wood and Osgood. And then also when the kids get into that high school age, they're going to be kind of traveling around. We got some Holly in there. We've got Detroit Lake. So the series is very diverse, and I think they're going to have a lot of fun playing at all these different locations. So, and if you haven't looked and done so already, you can certainly go ahead and snap that QR code that's on the screen. That'll send you directly to the registration page, and you can go ahead and sign up for the membership. You can go ahead and sign up for any events that may fit your schedule, along with, if you need any additional information, don't hesitate to go over to fargogolf.net. It's got all of the Discover Tour information. So if you're wondering if your kid is eligible or if this is something that would fit into the summer schedule, it's got all of the events that are outlined there, along with, I guess, it's got all the information that you would need there on fargogolf.net. So go ahead, check that out and sign up today. That'd be great.
Yeah, fields are going to be limited as well. This first year, we really want to try to get things correct. And so At each level, we do have a limited field, so you do want to make sure as far as and check us on out and see if that's something that you want to get your child interested in and playing in the summer. I would go out and get signed up now. And just as you mentioned, FargoGolf.net, you can actually register right off of that site as well. So
shout out to Fargo Parks for allowing us to get this scheme of ours off the ground. And obviously a special thank you to Bell Bank.
Absolutely.
Great sponsor, is going to help us the next couple of years to get this tour off and going. And we look forward to some special things.
This is fun. This is going to be a really cool season. So I'm amped that we get to pump this out, and hopefully maybe we can get some like winners on the podcast.
I think that's great.
Wouldn't that be cool to highlight some of these kids and hear their stories? And it always seems that our best podcasts come from whenever we've got junior involvement, like that show we had with Miss A Strip on for the Shanley episode and Brock and all that. That was a great episode. So I think that if we can get some junior involvement on the show, that would be pretty fun too. So, but yeah, let's without further ado, we probably want to get to our special guest. Huge thank you to Amy Olson. Was sitting in that chair. It was a pre-recorded episode, so thanks for Amy taking time out of her schedule and joining Matt and I for that. So takeaways were, I really had fun. She's just a rock star, you know.
She is. I always am apprehensive as far as I want to be careful as far as everybody's time.
Yeah.
And I know that she's enjoying her off season right now and about to kind of start up for 23. So anytime we can get her on as a guest, she's always a great interview. And so it was a lot of fun.
And we kind of surprised her too, because it was a video segment. She didn't realize. So we got her right after she got done like shoveling her driveway. And so you get to see Amy as just regular old Amy. So she was pretty excited that she got the video part of the podcast. Sarcasm, big sarcasm right there. So anything else that we want to add, guys?
Let's let her roll.
Okay, sounds good. And just rolling right into it, we're going to have Amy Olson on the show. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys in a little bit. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Muni Misfits. We got a special guest today.
Yes, we do, and we are excited.
Coming to you from the Osgood Golf Shop. And without further ado, we've got Amy Olson on with us, LPGA Tour star, and actually, I should say Oxbow native, right?
Right.
But we're very, very happy. This is the first time we've actually had you on the podcast, so welcome.
Thank you for having me. I've been
yeah.
waiting. I've been waiting for the phone call or the text. And finally, Matt reached out and was like, and I'm like, yes, of course I would love to come on. Are you kidding me?
Our guest list has been quite extensive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, do I dare call her? Do I dare call her?
We were worried too when we had some weather, right? We had some weather and we had to postpone. And we're like, oh my God, I hope she can still make a makeup date. So thank you very much for being flexible and we appreciate it. So
if she would have said this was the only date, I would have got on.
I totally would have too. Yeah.
I would have got on the Autocat and I would have headed down Highway 10. The blizzard.
Hey, that'd be some great content too, wouldn't it? That'd be great content.
Yeah, that would.
So let's talk about what's going on with you. All right. We're in the off season right now. And what are you doing to stay busy, to keep the game sharp? What are you doing?
I don't know in the morning whether I'm supposed to pick up a shovel or a golf club, honestly.
And we just caught you from shoveling just now.
I came straight from snow blowing, doing a little shoveling. But I did practice this morning. I was out at Sweet Shots, practiced a little bit. So I got a little bit of both in.
Okay.
You know? Yeah.
So would you say Sweet Shots right now is kind of your hub?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been going there pretty much every morning. All the stalkers now know exactly where I'm at.
Do you have a gallery out there? Like, are people watching you hit balls?
No.
No?
No.
Do you go incognito? Do you go beanie?
Find the corner simulator where you have to like walk around the corner to find me. And yeah, so usually I stay pretty hidden.
Okay.
It's pretty nice.
How is it like, being up in the northern area as far as in the off season and utilizing like a facility like Sweet Shots? I mean, how is that as far as your preparation and training being indoors?
Yeah, I mean, it's different. Like I always feel that I have different modes that I'm in when I'm practicing. Like when I've been in true off season or I'm in an off week and I want to change my swing a little bit, that's always a little different to me because I'm taking videos, I'm working on technique. I'm not too worried about what the ball's doing. And then obviously when I'm getting outside, if it's a little closer to competition, I'm working on distance control. I'm working on draws, fades. Like it really changes depending on kind of the mode I'm in. So right now I'm in like technique mode and I'm grinding over videos and, doing the whole slow motion. I'm sure anybody out there who, is as much of a nerd as I am when it comes to golf and is like falling asleep and is like, wait, where is it at the top of my swing again? And then they like pull up their phone. And anyway, I do that. That is a thing.
And I don't know if you can tell us or not, but do you have an instructor you've been currently working with now then? And
Yeah.
how much are you two like in contact with even in the off season?
Yeah. So like right now I'm working with David Ross. He's out in Charlotte, North Carolina on my swing. And yeah, so we're in contact, I would say twice a week. We for sure chat on the phone once a week. And then I'm sending videos probably 3 to 4 times a week. And he'll get back to me if he sees something or whatever. But we're definitely on the phone at least once or twice a week.
So now, how do you feel like that right now? How does that translate into like? Because I mean, nothing compares to actually playing golf, right? And do you find this fluctuation having the off season, then going into the on season? Do you feel like this serves a purpose for you, like right now, that you're able to then just really hone in on technique, and then when you start getting into the season, that's like, okay, now we're playing golf. Does it allow you that time to really specialize on what's happening intimately with the golf swing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of allows you to get your fundamentals in place. I mean, as simple as it sounds, it's like grip, alignment,
Yeah.
like you're checking those every single swing. So there's a lot of that stuff that doesn't get too far off, or it gets really tight when you're able to really focus on that. Honestly, like, even going back to college, I always felt like coming out of at that time, it was the sports bubble, right?
Yeah.
I would
Oh, yeah.
I'd come out of the sports bubble and I would just be striping it, like, I would be hitting it so straight, and then, as you're playing a little bit more and you're relying more on feel and everything, I honestly felt like some of those fundamentals would get sloppy over the years, so I look forward to the off season
I was just
of
gonna ask you that if
just
you
being able
actually.
to tune
Yeah.
up those things because some of that's really hard to adjust when you're playing. Like making a grip change when you're playing, sometimes it naturally moves over a little bit. But if you're intentionally trying to do something, you're like, where's the club face? So I look forward to the off season when I can kind of like not worry about where the ball goes and just kind of hone in on the fundamentals.
So, like, when you've got a lot of friends on tour, and a lot of friends don't come from these northern climates, and do they look at you like, you're going into hibernation, and then, everyone else is like, "Why do you do that?" Do you get
Yeah,
that at all?
yeah. Well, I mean, it's been different every year. I would say like my last 9 years on tour, I haven't had that much of an off season
Sure.
just because our season ends right before Thanksgiving, and then I put the clubs away until January 1st. I've always taken
I love
December
that.
off and just said, "It's family time. It's time to just rest and recharge." I work out, like I still stay physically active, but I don't touch a club.
It's
And
pickleball
then
time.
oh, that's right. So now we're talking. Here we go.
I've been following some Instagram. Yeah. So, we'll
So,
dive into that later.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, come January, I was generally going down to Palm Springs or down to Florida and doing probably more than normal tour pro thing. This year's just been different because I don't start till April. So I'm really enjoying kind of going back to what I feel like was college for me, where practice for a couple months indoors, and I've really enjoyed that, to be completely honest.
Good for you. Yeah, and, we were looking at the LPGA schedule. Um, Gosh, the schedule is much more, I would say, worldly than, say, when we analyze the PGA Tour. PGA Tour stays pretty close to home, right? I mean, we're within the states, and if you're able to pick and choose what kind of events you want to play in, I mean, you can be pretty close to home. When you look at the LPGA, oh my gosh, you are getting some frequent flyer
Oh,
miles.
Delta loves me.
So let's talk about like some of your favorite tour stops. I mean, what are your favorite tour stops?
Yeah, well, pre-COVID, Australia was hands down my favorite place to go, minus the really, really long plane ride. But I love Australia. They really play kind of a more traditional style of golf from the standpoint of it's almost like Scotland.
Yeah, it's
Like it's
very linksy.
linksy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ground is firm. You can play a lot of shots on the ground. There's some predictability to that, but it's hot because
Yeah.
we would go in February when it's their summer. So you have that link style golf, but you don't have to like deal with 40-mile-an-hour wind and rain coming at you sideways.
Did you ever play, sidebar here, did you ever play the largest golf course in the world there?
No, I don't
That
think so.
like the Australian Tourism Board actually created a golf course that actually goes around Australia. There's like holes out in the middle of nowhere. They're just like roadside attractions basically, and you go play this hole, and then you hop in your van and you go 100
Well,
miles and you go play a different one.
with
And
our travel schedule, the LPGA should just throw that in there. I mean,
stamp your passport
yeah,
and you played
just get a
18
few more
holes.
miles. What's
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
So favorite golf course then in Australia?
I would say Royal Melbourne.
Yeah, okay.
Oh
Yeah,
man, I got to play it, I think, my second year going there, and I just fell in love. I love that golf course. I want to go back.
Yeah, I've never played Royal Melbourne. I've never been to Australia, but every time I see that on TV, like when they play the President's Cup there, I'm just like, this is a golf course. The
Yeah.
bunkering and Gil Hands, didn't he redesign it? It looks unbelievable.
I just remember being there was a par 4, dogleg right. I can't remember what hole it is, but I had like a 54 degree in my hand. Like I'm hitting a sand wedge, and I'm sitting there talking to my caddy, and I'm going, do I land this 5 yards short of the green or 15 yards short of the green? Like it was so firm, but it was awesome. I mean, that's just, like I said, it's like links golf to an extent where it's firm and you really have to plan for how it's going to bounce.
Loads of creativity. You can hit a
Totally.
variety of shots.
Totally.
And, I think that around here, we definitely see a lot of that in our golfers because we have to battle a lot of the wind. We do have variable turf conditions. And so I think a lot of kids growing up around here do get a lot of creativity. And I think you're probably a testament to that, rather than someone that plays in Arizona or, Florida or something like that, where the conditions are maybe a little bit more consistent at times. I love that because then you can hit a 7-iron, you can hit a sand wedge, you can bump a hybrid. There's all sorts of ways to play different shots, and that's what the game is. So
Yeah, well, I remember like my first top 10 on tour was in Hawaii, which if anyone's played in Hawaii, it's just pure wind. And so I'm coming out of North Dakota with this like piercing low ball flight,
home sweet home.
I'm like, oh, this is great. Get a little top 10 and then go play some major courses. And I'm like, wait, I have to hit it high and I need to hit a cut. Uh-oh. So, I mean, definitely a couple years into my stint on tour, I was like, I need to figure out how to play a little different style of golf because
Right.
it isn't North Dakota everywhere.
So there's another thing that is, I guess, really topical right now. You're seeing all of this buzz around the Netflix documentary, right? If you watch any of that,
I don't have Netflix.
Whatever. You don't have Netflix? Are you serious? Okay. Well, there's a Netflix documentary out,
Thank
full
you.
swing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I have heard about it.
And documenting the PGA Tour. But the LPGA Tour has been doing this now, like 3 or 4 years?
They've done a couple. They did a pilot episode. I was actually one of the players in their pilot
And
episode 2 years
that's
ago.
how I
Yeah.
got linked into that. And I was like, man, this is every bit as good. Like, I wish this was promoted much more widely than, like, I had to kind of search it out. And I think I only saw it because it was like one of your social posts. You had said like, hashtag drive on. And I was like, what is that? And I dove into it and I was like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward. The LPGA wants to do a lot more to become just more visible, more approachable. I was on the board for the last 3 years, so I've gotten to see like some of the behind the scenes, and there's so much that we can do to grow. And there's so much talent out there. There's so much personality, and it doesn't get captured.
Yes.
And so, I mean, you're spot on. Those are the types of things that people are really gravitating toward. How many people are really going to sit down right now and watch a 4-hour round of golf? But will they watch a 45-minute show? Absolutely. So like golf is just having to evolve with the times. And I mean, you always want it to move faster, but I think we'll get there eventually.
What is kind of holding that up? I mean, what are the obstacles there and why haven't they been able to move a little bit quicker to do that? Just
money. Yeah. I mean, all of that stuff. And there's so much effort that goes into it. I think there is an element, and I do think having the full swing come out and seeing all these top players willing to give their time, willing to allow the cameras behind the scenes, because that has been a little bit of a holdup where top players are going, stay out of my way. Like, I'm trying to win a golf tournament here. I'm trying to whatever.
Right.
And they're not seeing the value of people. People want to see behind the scenes. And I think having some of the top players on the PGA is going to open up I guess the freedom probably for some of the top gals to also want to do the same thing. I'm hoping so.
Well, I think like just speaking to the full swing side of things, Rory even, Rory he allowed the cameras to a certain extent, but then it was like family, absolutely not. You're not getting in, you're not getting inside my living room. That's not going to be a thing. But so there's variable degrees, I guess, of access. And I do think that anytime we can humanize people and we can actually tell their stories and we can listen to how they answer questions very candidly or get them in their own environment, then rooting for them on TV becomes like I'm pulling now for a whole bunch of people that were in that documentary more so than I would have if I didn't see it. Like I was always a Joel Damon fan, but after watching that, I'm like, I love Joel Damon, and to the same degree too, when I watched a lot of your stuff, I loved watching like you guys playing pickleball and getting after it. Watching you guys make dinner, and just hearing the back and forth and what your experiences are. That as long as we're very, very respectful of everybody's time and what they're choosing to keep private, I think that just pays dividends for the sport, for the league, for everything. So
And I
I would
think
love to see
like
more of that.
I'll speak for just the camera crew that we had in that particular pilot episode that we filmed. They were phenomenal. And so but like I was one of the first people to say yes. Gabby and I were both like, yeah, we'll do it. And so we were able to go back then to our friends and say, they were great. Like they didn't push us. If you didn't want to do something, you didn't have to do it. They left by, 7:30 at night so you can have your bedtime routine, whatever.
Nice.
Like being able to have kind of trust with the camera crew is huge. And so I think that's one of those things that takes time to develop and also a bit of a reputation.
Sure.
And if nobody starts, how is it ever going to get spread? Because like Nellie Court is not going to be the first one to do it.
Yeah.
And test it out.
Yeah, I mean, why would she, right?
Absolutely.
Now I've always wondered, especially when you watch some reality shows, did it ever get to the point where you just didn't even notice the cameras? Or like were you always like, I'm mic'd up. I'm
Well,
like
I think we were always conscious that we were mic'd up. We didn't always know when the cameras were rolling. So like we didn't know if stuff was
not that
getting
you would
caught
say
or
anything
whatever.
controversial, but
Oh,
you know what I mean?
yeah, you don't know me very well. No, yeah, whenever you have a mic or there's a mic near, and I think we're even conscious of that on the golf course because there's mics everywhere. And so even my caddy and I will like if we're gonna have like maybe a borderline conversation, kind of do that little peek around, But so I was always very conscious that I was mic'd up. But as far as like, yeah, and that's the other thing is you have to be in front of the camera and you have to be mic'd up for a period of time because we're not performers. We're not
Right.
from the standpoint of like, I can't just put on a show. Like you have to be with me for a long period of time before you're going to capture that 30 seconds. That's pure gold. I mean, I can't just make that happen. So I think, yeah, there's a bunch of reasons why I think it's a hard thing to do, but I also think there's plenty of reasons why it's a good thing.
So, and that kind of leads me into another question I had for you is that, I mean, you're not everywhere on social media. Okay. But there's definitely tour players that are and that's like part of their business model. Has there ever been a push for you to be more on social or like utilize that digital marketing side of things? Like essentially there's a lot of LPGA tour stars that have their own web pages that have, their do you ever think that you have to go down that road to like branch out as far as
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it plenty over my career and tried to decide like what do I want to be? What do I want my brand to be? The thing that I found is there's just only so much time
yeah.
and I don't love social media. I actually really hate it. And so like I try to do just enough where it's like, okay, like I'm relevant, but at the same time, like I'm not gonna be found on the explore feed,
Yeah.
on Instagram, like, I fully recognize that, but people who do care about me and follow me can have a little idea of what's going on in my life.
Your pickleball might go viral though.
I mean, that's what I'm hoping. I mean oh, my husband and I love it. It has been, like, just the most fun for us, when he's done coaching football, I'm done practicing golf, he wants to go to the golf course, and I'm like, can we go play pickleball? So it's been a really fun thing for us just to be able to do together.
And you recently just played in Did I see you played in a professional event?
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those things you can kind of declare yourself a pro
Sure. Yeah.
and go play. So I did. I played in the pro division with a gal I'd met. She's from Canada, and we had a blast. We almost won a match. I wanted to. We did win a game. It was best 2 out of 3 for the match, and then our final game we lost 11-9, which is very painful.
So is that a shocker
Oh.
at what I mean, just like anyone getting into golf, you know, the different level as you get going in golf, I mean, it gets exponentially more difficult to compete. Did you see that same kind of degree of difficulty increase when you went to
Oh,
a tournament?
for sure. And the thing that's interesting about pickleball, because you're head on with another team, the better they are, the harder they make your job, so the worse you look.
Sure.
So
They
like
make you
in
just chase
golf,
it.
in golf, if you're playing against someone who's beating you by 4 shots, they beat you by 4 shots. But if you're playing against somebody in pickleball who's just that little edge better than you, they make your shots way harder, which makes you look worse. They're, like the disparity gets way bigger. So, I mean, it was fun for me. Again, it's like I just have so much respect for anyone who does something at the highest level and has just committed themselves. So for me, it was fun just to be out there on the same court as some of the top players and be able to see what they do. And you can just tell their technique, everything is just so honed in. I'm like, I'm just out there like, you know, like an octopus trying to, you know, return as many shots as I can. And they're just like so calm. Their feet are so still. Anyway.
How did you get into pickleball? Was it through your parents? Did they start first or did you start first?
Yeah,
or?
my mom started.
Okay.
Yeah, she introduced us, wanted us all to play. And at first we were like, pickleball? Like, what is this? And she bought us paddles for Christmas. You know, she's super subtle.
How long ago was that?
Like 6 years ago.
Okay.
And then my husband and I were like, oh, okay, this is it's kind of fun. We moved to Indiana for he was coaching at Indiana State. Didn't have a lot of friends there to start. So we're like, oh, let's just go to the pickleball courts. And soon enough, that's like every single night. That's what we're doing. And kind of took off from there.
That's cool.
So who's like the top in your family then, as far as between you and your parents and Nathan and Grant and
do I dare say?
You got to. You got to.
I'm going to go with me.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's here to dispute it.
and then just like on the Drive On episode, who's the best on tour? Who's the best on the LPGA tour?
Hands down me.
Okay.
Sorry.
Because that according to those interviews, it was contested at least.
You know, there will be some trash talk. You know, it's funny. There's not a lot of trash talk. People ask me that all the time. There's not trash talk on the golf course on tour. There is a lot of trash talk off the golf course. If it's ping pong, if it's, pickleball,
awesome.
whatever else it is. Yeah. So anyway, it's fun because again, like in that documentary, you get to see that side of people, which you don't always see on the golf course.
So Amy Olson's number 1. Who's number 2 on pickleball on tour?
I would say probably Sydney Clanton or Sophia Popov. Anne Van Dam, also phenomenal. She's also like just a freaky athlete and everything. So yeah, there's quite a few actually now that have picked it up. Yeah, I'm hoping. I keep getting them out there. I try to organize it like maybe every other week, and just whoever wants to come.
That's so cool.
What is like life on tour then? When you're out there during the week, you talked about some of these amazing destinations of being in Australia and Hawaii, and how much downtime do you actually have during that week, and that you can either enjoy some of the sights, enjoy the food, enjoy pickleball?
Yeah, I would say. It kind of depends. My rookie year, I did a lot more. Like when we were in China, I'm seeing the Great Wall of China, and you just make sure that you plan, so you have half a day for it. As I've kind of gone to the same destinations over and over, I don't see much. I see the hotel, I see the golf course, and maybe a restaurant that someone recommended to me. But most of the days are pretty much filled with, workout, practice. You're playing a practice round. There's media, pro-am party. There's just always stuff going on. So honestly, trying to go out and see the sights has become a pretty low priority over the years. Maybe I'll regret that one day.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you too. Like, you're traveling, is your family able to travel along with you, or like how many? When you're going all over the place, you got Hawaii, you got Asia, you got Australia. Are you seeing time for the family to come along?
Yeah, most of those like kind of longer trips, nobody will come. When we hit our US stretch, I find my parents have come to probably 6 to 8 events generally a year, and then my husband will make it out to maybe 4. So, people will be out periodically, but you find that your road family is actually your competitors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I stay a lot of times I'm renting an Airbnb like you saw in the video, and there'll be 3 or 4 of us staying together, and sometimes we'll cook. Depends who you're staying with, because some people like to cook, some people just want to do takeout or go out to eat. But that kind of just becomes your family on the road.
So that's, that the communal aspect, I guess, of it has got to be a little bit more unique, I would say, on the LPGA tour than on the PGA tour. Although you do see, like when we were watching some of the documentary on the PGA tour, you do see that as well. But um, the other part I took to that was that there's a lot of like rooting each other on, like, and that must be much more of like just the fact that it's the LPGA tour, and I think women are nicer than men. Maybe, I don't know. I can't, that's maybe not a
To each
blanket
other's
statement. Yeah.
faces.
But, it does seem like there's a lot of rooting each other on. And, can you speak to that? Like, I mean, on tour, it's a big family, like you said.
Yeah, well, I mean, the truth of it is you have 150 players playing every week. So the chances that you and your best friend are in contention that week are really slim. So realistically, like your core group, which I would say everybody has a core group of maybe 4 to 5 people that they travel with, they have dinner with, that they're spending a ton of time with. And when one of your core group is up there, like you might change your flight and hang around
That's
to
so
watch
cool.
them,
Yeah.
and all of us have done that. And one of the coolest things I think the LPGA does is at the end of any tournament, you're always going to see other players going out to celebrate with the winner. And it's just part of the culture. I mean, I think there's a lot of factors that come into it. Part of it is the fact that there's not a ton of money in the LPGA. So we don't, for the most part, we don't have entourages that travel with us where you're just surrounded by your trainer, your nutritionist, your psychologist, your coach. You know, like I said, I'm staying with 3 or 4 other
Yeah.
gals that are playing, and so you just become that much tighter because you don't have an entourage.
How do you that was one of the topics too that I really wanted to get at, because when we talk about compensation in the sports world as it sits with women and female athletes, I mean, there's a huge disparity, right, between the men and the women. What do you see the LPGA doing right now, to maybe bridge that gap, or how do you see that going down in maybe the next 5 or 10 years? Do you see that gap closing any?
Yeah, I think so. I see momentum for sure. I think the one thing we're running into right now is our majors are huge as far as purses. Right now, last year the U.S. Open was 10 million and KPMG was 9 million. I expect both of those to increase honestly this next year, and then we have a bunch of tournaments that are 1.5 million.
Yeah.
So it's like there's such a disparity where you've got like these 5 majors that are huge. And then you've got all these other small tournaments where with all your expenses and everything that you have to pay to get there, to stay, to pay your caddy, all that, you make the cut and you still lost money. So, like, what we're seeing is that we just have to get everything has to move together. Right now, we're seeing this separation. It's similar to women's tennis, to be honest, where the tennis tournaments, the majors are huge, and then they have a bunch of smaller ones. I think for us, because I'm not a believer that just because we're hitting a golf ball and guys are hitting a golf ball, that we should get paid the same. We are entirely dependent on the number of eyeballs that watch us. We're an
For sure.
opportunity for companies to
Yep.
market themselves. And so if eyeballs aren't watching us, the value isn't there for companies to invest. So for me, it's all about getting creative and how can we get more eyeballs? And that is like a constant topic of discussion on the LPGA. And part of it is it takes money to make money because, to invest in doing a documentary, in having better data, having better TV coverage, having more live TV, like having more network TV. All of those things increase exposure, but they cost money
Yeah.
up front. So it's like chicken or the egg. And we've had some awesome companies that have come alongside of us. Like KPMG was really visionary in what they thought the LPGA could be and investing in women probably before they necessarily saw that they were going to get the return for it. But we've had some companies that have just come on and said, like, we're going to start this because we know the value's there and we know like once there's money invested, it will take off. And so, I mean, honestly, like we've had more companies step up and do that. And hopefully that just continues to create momentum. And hopefully we use the money well so that it's not, we don't want to be charity.
Yeah. I I truly think that if the more that you can get some of the human elements and get people following the stories of these young athletes, that's where it's at, because I found myself as soon as I was watching that documentary and I saw Gabby on there, I'm like, well, I'm going to look up Gabby on the LPGA tour, so you find yourself inundated with this when you become invested, right, in these people's stories. Like if I'm just looking at a leaderboard and I'm looking at just the standard old TV coverage that even I see on the PGA tour and things like that, I don't really care what's past the top 10 on the leaderboard. But now, when I see that documentary, I'm like scrolling, right?
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
I want to see more of that type of stuff. And I think that's where it eventually has to end up going to get people invested in the entire leaderboard.
And I think one of the challenges, the specific challenges the LPGA has, is we are so international. We have so many countries, we have so many languages, we have so many names that are really hard to pronounce. Like, I get it. And I hear that from everybody. And it's like, you know what? But they're awesome and they have great personalities too. And it's just a matter of, like you said, being creative, figuring out how can we get that out to the
Yeah.
masses, because I think some people tune out when they're like, that person's name is 17 letters long, and it's like, yeah, but their nickname is Meow, and that's hilarious. Like, I mean, there's plenty of material out there, and it just has to get out to the public.
The other thing too is that, oops, I almost hit this off the stand here. The other thing is, if when we're looking at the LPGA tour in the United States, and then we look at it and we contrast it with what's going on in like Korea. Like I was watching the No Laying Up boys follow some LPGA tour over in Korea, and each golfer has like their own fan club.
Oh, it's absurd. Yeah.
And but for them, when they're watching that, they are following that person intently, right? How cool is that? Like, how do we get to the point where women's golf in the United States is to that same degree when you're following and you've got your own Amy Olson fan? Like
Yeah.
you do when you play around here, but how do we do that when you're out in California?
Right. Exactly.
Right? So yeah, I guess I don't know the answer to that, but I want that, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're on the same page. I think the LPGA is on the same page, and it's a process. I'm just excited because we are beginning that process and I see steps being made. I just feel like sometimes you don't always see the results of that
Yeah.
for like a year or 2 years down the road. Like, I'm curious how long this Netflix documentary has been in the works. Like, how long has it been a brainchild before it all of a sudden got out on,
Yeah.
because truthfully, like the pilot episode that we did that we've talked about, like it was thought about probably 2 months before, and then we're just like, let's just do it. And, you know, it wasn't as high of quality as what, the PGA is doing. But anyway, so it's like it's always hard to balance like how quick do you get something out versus how well do you want it done.
Yeah. Quality over quantity kind of
Yeah.
deal. What else do you got over there, Cookie? I know you've been itching to ask a question right now, and I've just been taking up all the time. I'm sorry.
You go ahead and take up the
Oh, yeah.
energy. Speaking of like international, and we kind of had this conversation earlier, what do you see some differences as far as how some of the young players and how they develop compared to like over here as far as in the States? I mean, we do seem to see a lot of flags on the leaderboard that end up being Korea, China, Japan, Taiwan, as well as obviously many other countries. But what are some things that they might be differently doing over in other countries that maybe we're not doing?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of factors to it for sure. One of the best things that they do is from like 16 and 17 years old, they're playing on tour. Like they are truly playing on the Korean LPGA tour week in and week out. And if I'm remembering right, they're 3-day events. They might be able to go home for like a couple days in between them, but they are just playing and they're competing at the highest level very young. They don't go to college. This is not a slight against college, but like I can't say that 4 years of college really prepared me for professional golf. And they are truly preparing for professional golf. And so it starts young. Obviously, they work extremely hard. They have great coaching from a young age, but they are playing at the peak of competition late teenage years. And then they're doing that for 2 to 3 to 4 years before they're ever a rookie on the LPGA. So they come over as rookies and they have 4 years of tour experience under their belt, which I think is a huge advantage.
I can't remember who it was. I heard someone else talking about that, and they were talking about like, what can we do as far as my junior player, my boy, my girl, whatever. And I remember someone saying too, there, get them and compete in everything they can. It doesn't matter if it's local, national, big, small, whatever. Get them competing. And
I think like Josh, when we were talking with Josh Persons, it's like, hey, what would you give your younger self, or what would you tell somebody that's looking to play professionally, and it's just playing absolutely everything you can. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of depends. I took such a different route, and I don't know that I'd recommend my route.
That's why you're here, though.
I don't know. I don't know. My parents had such a philosophy of like, we just play a couple events a summer and just enough to stay motivated, and then you just practice, practice, practice. I was a range rat. Like I spent so much time on the driving range, and again, I've just come to appreciate there's so many ways to get to the top, honestly. And having talked to so many different, tour players and just seeing so many things that work, there is not one way, but repetition in any form is key. Practice, competing, playing, if it's just, for fun, you just have to be out there constantly. And the younger you can do it, the better. I mean, I'm trying to think like the latest I know of an LPGA player who like picked up a golf club for the first time was 13 years old. And I remember sitting in the room and everybody's like, you didn't golf till you were 13. All of us are like 2, 4,
right.
6, whatever. And then you have someone who like was almost in high school and picks up a golf club and you're like, how did you get here? So like repetition early is so key. And I honestly don't care what form it's in.
And passion. Obviously, you got to want it, right? You can't. I mean, it can't just be exercise out there. So
nobody can want it for you,
yeah.
And that's the thing. And I've seen that so many times with parents who want it for their kids. And it's like if the kid doesn't want it, they're not going to be out there in the pouring rain trying to figure out how to, keep the club from slipping. When it's raining, like you have to figure that out at some point. And if you don't want it, like no one can want it for you.
The other thing that we have to talk about, we got to talk about some charitable stuff that you do and that you're passionate about. Could you speak about like the stuff that you're doing charitably, because you've got a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah, I was really fortunate to be introduced to Betsy King my rookie year on tour, and Betsy King is a Hall of Famer legend, won like 30 sometimes on tour, I don't know how many majors, and is the most humble, unassuming person you'll ever meet. It's so funny because I met her, and then like 2 weeks later I see her again, and she's like, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me. I'm Betsy King," and I'm like, "Betsy, I remember you." It's like she just assumes that nobody remembers her, knows who she is. And anyway, so she kind of became a role model and a mentor to me. And she does a ton of work over in Africa. And I got the opportunity to go over there and just see what she has done and what she's been a part of since 2006. And seeing just the need, and it's amazing to sit here and you're surrounded by wealth. You're surrounded by so much just extra, and to see people that don't even have clean water, and people that have lost children and have lost loved ones due to the fact that there's bacteria in their water. It's just like, it's so heartbreaking that still exists today. So going on that trip was one of those things where I just realized how much need there is and then how little can do so much. So for me, one of the things that stuck out to me was like $50 can give one person clean water for life. And you're like, $50, that's like 2 pizzas, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's so easy, and how life-changing that can be. And so I kind of came back and I was like, well, I don't know what I can do, but I can at least tell about what I saw and what kind of an impact you can have. And so I got involved with Golf for Africa, and they run a bunch of golf tournaments that raise money. I've just fundraised it over social media for some different wells, and I've been so fortunate, just some of the people that I've met that have said, what can I do? I want to help. Austin's Golf has helped me raise like $200,000 over the last,
That's amazing.
couple years. And we funded a couple mechanized systems and other wells. And anyway, just, you run into people who just have a generous heart, and that fuels your passion because, you want to do the same thing. So it's been a really cool thing to be a part of. I just know that it has an impact far beyond anything that I do on the golf course. And so I think it's just one of those things that keeps you motivated and allows you to use something that you love for something even bigger.
That's
That's Golf for Africa, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is it
FORE. Yep.
Yeah.
Golf for Africa. That's awesome. So you guys, that's been a huge difference, and I imagine already.
Yeah.
Is
No.
that momentum still going?
Yeah. And I think one of the cool things, and I'm just going to get on my soapbox here for a little bit,
that's
but
what you're here
I
for.
mean, by 2030, every single person in the world should have access to clean water. Like, this is a solvable problem. This is not one of those problems where it's like, oh, we're just going to perpetually be throwing money into something that never gets fixed. Like, we're 7 years away from every person having clean water. And that just gets me so excited to be part of the generation that can actually accomplish that and to have been a part of that. I think that's really cool.
Talk about just something just so that we just take for granted. I mean, we complain about maybe water, the taste.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Not drinkable, just
Yeah.
the taste.
And I mean, like, I was over there and one of the gals came up to me and she just goes, where you come from, how far do you walk for water? Because they walk, 2 miles, for a bucket, and then they bring it back and they're washing their clothes and they're cooking and they're drinking or whatever. And it's like their entire life is walking for water. So the distance that you have to go is a huge deal. And I'm sitting here going, I have like 5 taps within
Like 5 feet.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, bathroom, shower, bathtub, 2 in the bathroom. Like, I mean, it really is absurd when you think about it and you think of that perspective where they just don't even know that that's possible. Yeah, there's a side of it that can make you feel guilty, and I recognize that, and I don't ever want anyone to give or be part of it out of guilt. I think for me, I just realize how much I've been given, and the Bible talks about, to whom much is given, much is required. And I just am so grateful for what I've been given. And I want to be able to give back and be able to spread that and not be I think, I heard somebody talk about one time, like, don't be a cup, be a funnel, and it's like, pass that through whatever's been given to you, continue to pass it on. And so this has been a great way for me to be able to do that.
Oh, that is just a great
Be
mission.
a funnel. I love that.
That is. I tell you, hopefully 2030. I mean, hopefully it comes much sooner than that, but that would be just amazing to
absolutely
get that accomplished.
So let's talk about how we can get that Golf for Africa hat on more televisions. All right. So what does the tour schedule look like for you this coming season 2023? What does it look like?
Yeah, I start April 12th through the 15th in Hawaii. So that'll be my first stop. And then just the way last year, I didn't have a great year. I don't have full status. So I'm kind of waiting to see what I get into. I'll play in whatever I get in. And they have reshuffles throughout the year. So as long as I make a cut early, then I'll start getting in everything, including the majors. So hoping for a hot start. And that'd be great.
Is there anything, like, as far looking at the majors, is there anything on the schedule there that you're like, I'm sorry, I don't even know where, like, the US Women's Open is at this year.
Pebble Beach.
Okay. So, like, is that got like the
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, that's a really exciting one. I think one of the things that we've asked for and wanted as LPGA players is not just, having eyes and having a big stage. It's being able to play at some of the best golf courses.
Absolutely.
That's such a big deal for us. I mean, being able to play at courses where you just remember watching Jack Nicklaus win or Tiger win or whatever, like, that's a big deal for us. And so seeing the US Open, our Women's PGA Championship, are continually putting us on really good golf courses, that's exciting for me. So Pebble Beach is a big deal this year.
That's and as far as that's one that doesn't ever get old either, right? When you watch it on TV, it does not get, all the holes, exactly where they're at. You got the ocean. It is just it's just theater the whole time as you're watching it. So no,
and that draws more eyes, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, when you hear it's at Pebble Beach, like, you're going to turn it on versus if it's at Cordoval where I played like my 3rd US Open or whatever. It's like, where's that?
Yeah, I mean, that moves the needle, and
Totally.
that means something for sure. So okay, so we've got a full schedule this year. We're excited about that. What else you got there, Cookie? Do you got it? You're kind of giving me the eyes right now. I don't know what you're. Do you need to get a question in?
No. You're doing good.
Okay.
You're doing good.
Okay, I got to know something very simple. All right. I love to know players are superstitious, right? Are you superstitious or
I'm
just a
super
little stitious?
No, I'm superstitious about not being superstitious. Like, if I believe that the color orange is unlucky, I will wear the color orange until I shoot 64 where
You're
I
a
hit.
contrarian,
I totally
superstitious
I think
contrarian.
that superstition is ridiculous, and I completely refuse to fall into it.
Okay, so like there's no like tie your shoe left side first before the right,
Nope,
change in the left pocket. Okay, there's nothing like
none of
that.
it. None of it.
Wow. So numbers on golf balls?
Don't
You don't
care.
nope.
If you had-
Marking a golf ball the same way. Do you do that?
I do, but not out of superstition, out of laziness, I would say.
If you had to
Coming
play-
up with a new design every day would be exhausting.
If you had to play one
Not
round
an
of golf with
artist.
either your odds or your evens, what would you play?
I
Like odds or evens
I
irons?
Yes.
Oh, irons. Oh, I'd go evens, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, usually like when I'm warming up on the range, I go back and forth. Like I'll do odds one day, evens the other day, but I do like when I do evens. That's yeah.
Okay. Hard 8 or a soft 7?
I like the soft 7.
Soft 7.
Yeah.
Feathered.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
If you've got a favorite golf club in your bag, what would it be?
Driver.
Nice.
Mhm.
Weirdest thing in your golf bag right now? Doesn't have to be right now, but weirdest thing maybe ever that's been in your golf bag.
Oh, all I can think about is the time that I left a banana, like it was the last tournament of the year, and I didn't touch my clubs for 6 weeks, and there was a banana in the belly of the bag.
Man.
I think it was a banana at one point. I don't carry. I try to carry really light, but I like keep Band-Aid. I keep tape. I rotate my snacks because I get tired of the same thing over and over.
That was going to be my next question.
Okay.
Do you have a certain like ball marker or anything
Sharpies.
like that you use? It's
Yeah, I have a bunch of ball
not
markers.
lucky, but
I do like them to match my outfit. I do. Yeah, I don't love it when they don't match.
Hold up. A ball marker matches your outfit? Are we
could be
talking
like
about
on
that?
a
These are these like
lid or-
blingy ball markers that are
Okay.
like sparkly, and I have them in
Sure.
all sorts of different colors.
I have not.
So
I've
if-
not dabbled in the ball marker game
I'm
with
gonna
the
get,
outfit.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
get you a blingy ball
I
marker. I think you'd
Appreciate
rock
that.
it.
Yeah.
favorite spot to eat on tour?
Yeah.
Is there one restaurant?
Total
or something?
foodie. I love hearing this stuff. Are you a foodie?
I'm like the person who goes to the chain restaurant because I
Come
know what
on,
I'm gonna
Amy.
get. I know, like
I don't
people will be
disrespect
like,
you there. I'm
people
kinda
are
the
like,
same
oh,
way.
you've got to go to this whatever.
Best Chinese restaurant, P.F. Chang's. No.
Oh.
What?
Oh, okay. You hit a sore spot. I've had food poisoning twice on tour,
Okay.
and one of them was beef and broccoli. This may be too much information
At
for
P.F.
people.
Chang's?
Beef
Yeah.
and broccoli at
Sorry,
P.F.
P.F.
Chang's.
Chang's. They're no longer
Will
a
never
sponsor
have
of
not
Muni
eaten there
Misfits in the
again.
morning.
Yeah.
We just got dropped.
Oh no, I know. I'm a classic like Texas Roadhouse or Outback. Like I love a good, I mean that's not a good steakhouse. I'm not saying it is, but yeah, pretty simple, like some barbecue.
Okay. Best thing to have at the turn. What's the best thing to have at the turn?
It depends, but usually banana.
No, like chocolate chip cookie. Like there's no like.
I'll do peanut butter and jelly sometimes.
You're
I
so
go
healthy.
through
so
like
healthy.
How is peanut butter and jelly healthy?
Well, you should see some of the stuff that Cookie and he's named Cookie. So
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
we kind of came up with like the big cookie at Deal Country Club.
Yes.
Scotcheroos.
Scotcheroos.
Oh man. Deep fried scotcheroo. Yeah. I mean like
You know that
Give it
none
all
of my
to me.
counterparts on tour would know what a scotcheroo is.
what?
They would have no idea.
Is that a northern thing?
It's kind of a northern
Do they-
Midwest thing.
Do they what
Same
is
with
it?
rhubarb. They have no idea what rhubarb is.
They are so missing
What a
out.
hot dish.
Totally missing out. Yeah.
They obviously haven't been to a northern church
Hey,
potluck
they
before.
do know what-
It's like rhubarb everything.
They know what oofta means. That thanks to me.
Good for you. Spread the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the movie Fargo.
Yeah.
What else do we got? Do we got anything else? How are we doing on time? Oh, we're long. Okay. Sounds good. Time flies when we're having fun.
Amy's
So-
probably got like another 12 inches of snow in her driveway.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, we should probably wrap it up, but I just want to say thanks for coming on. Thanks for doing this. Really, really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. So, and best of luck and everything that you're doing, between the foundation, between golf in the Fargo Moorhead area, and just honestly being an awesome, kind individual. Thank you for everything that you do. So
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, you guys. It's a pleasure.
I think I tell everybody, when we've been fortunate to have her on in the past, I said, it's really cool because golf does not define Amy Olson.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much more to Amy, which is cool. And with a lot of people, but I mean, especially all the good works you've had, your faith, your family, it's just been awesome. And so it's great to have you on. And yes, best of luck as far as this 2023 season.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully we're going to see the name at the top of the leaderboard.
I love it.
Sounds good. Play well. And we are going back to Muni Misfits in the morning. We're live. All right. Hey, welcome back. That was an awesome interview.
Amy always does a great job.
She's a polished tour player, and I'm taken aback at like just how much media training these players have had. Like she knew nothing about our podcast, believe it or not. She knew nothing, and she just sat in the chair and she was just regular old Amy, and just she was awesome. She was fantastic in the stories that she could just rifle off. I was very impressed with her demeanor and her story. It was awesome. So
you just go on out there as far as to YouTube and you can see just some of the things that she's been on. We mentioned it obviously as far as in the interview with Drive On and several other things that she's done. She just does such a wonderful job, and she's great for the tour. And I say hopefully she's got a great 23 season here. Keep it alive and keep rolling.
Yeah, thanks Amy again for taking the time to do that. Hopefully this is the first of many interviews that we get to do with Amy, and best of luck in this upcoming season. So she's got a lot on the schedule, and we're rooting for you. With that being said, if you haven't done so already, please head over to fargogolf.net. All right. The other thing is we need your help. We need subs, I think is what the kids call them. We need subscribers. So if you click on the QR code on the screen right now, you can go ahead and become a Muni Misfit in the Morning subscriber, believe it or not. That's all you need to do. What do you guys think?
I thought you were talking about replacements when you said subs. I was kind of confused there.
Get the subs in.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Middle reliever. Get the subs in. All right. But go ahead, click that code, and we'd love to have you updated with everything Muni Misfits in the Morning. So it'd be great.
We get to see each other again for 2 months.
It's up to you, Matt.
See y'all in 2 months.
So with that being said, we are excited, though. We're going to have a full schedule of, I guess this first year of Muni Misfits went over all right. The marketing department has got stuff planned for us. We're going to be doing some video shorts and a lot of, I guess, more things that we can kind of put into the podcast. So we're excited about broadening our horizons with our video, not my video skills, but hopefully the marketing video skills. Hopefully some of these are more polished than I am able to create. So,
it doesn't look like we're going to be playing this weekend, but even though we still can go out to fargogolf.net, right, and purchase our season passes now?
Yes. Online, fargogolf.net. Buy our season passes now. Edgewood Men's Club, Spring Banquet, Tuesday, March 14th.
Wow.
Be there or be square.
Hammering that right now, March 14th. Are you going to be there, Matt? You were a no-show last year.
I was.
Matt's never been to one.
That is erroneous.
And he's been invited 23 straight years.
I was invited to 2. I've made it to 1.
500 is not bad.
I know. That's a Hall of Fame career right there if I went down like that. So 500. I'm going to be at this next one too.
I'm going to have to make an appearance.
All right. It's a good time.
I've heard that.
Are they going to let me in the door?
I've heard that before. Oh, are you kidding me?
Is there a secret handshake?
As you come in the door, there'll be Greg, see ya.
Just the sea of people will part. Matt will walk through.
Hey, who's that guy?
Mr. Hawley.
Right.
Oh, okay. We're getting sideways, but hey, thanks for tuning in. Good to have you guys back in the seats. Good to be talking golf. Good to be back. All right. So with that being said, we will see you next time. Don't know when it's going to be, but it's going to be soon. And go ahead, subscribe right now. This is Muni Misfits in the Morning. My name is Chris Larson, head golf professional at Osgood Golf Course. And we've got Matt Cook, head golf professional at Rose Creek and Prairiewood. And then we've got Greg McCullough back from Arizona, head golf professional at Edgewood and at El Zagle. This is the Muni Misfits in the Morning. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you soon.